Kiss him hard, sweetheart. Kiss him. Give him a hug, sweetheart. He gon' kiss you back.
Don't y'all be kissing all the time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Stop bluffing on her, Mel.
You know, there's certain areas, especially where, black women always try to position themselves as the moral compass. There's certain areas where I just don't expect black women to reach on. And here they are reaching like a motherfucker. So Ayemi Loho put out that video, right? And she didn't do her research. She didn't do her homework. I didn't do my research. I didn't do my homework, right? Because I took at face value what she said, that girl turns out to be turned out she's a woman, but that girl was 17 years old, the one that got put in the dumpster. Okay? Come to find out, and people were writing this shit underneath my comment section, that woman is 30 years old. Now the boy is 13 years old, right? The one that she's seen there flirting with, trying to touch.
Kiss him hard, sweetheart. Kiss him. Give him a hug, sweetheart.
He gon' kiss you back. Don't y'all be kissing all the time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Stop bluffing on her, Mel.
Right? And I should have went with my instinct, because when I first, as I said in my previous video, when I first saw that video, I said to myself, I'm like, that bitch look like a crackhead to me. Classic crackhead style. Skinny as hell, oversized t-shirt, looks like she's not wearing any underwear. I'm like, crackhead alert, right? But again, I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure that, people living in extreme poverty, many of the young women who don't have support system, chances are they're going to look like a crackhead. So I was like, okay, I'll go with it, right? I'm just going with the idea that she's 17 years old, right? But people insisted in my comment section that she was 30 years old. So I go over on the Shade Room, right? Because Ayemi Loho made a post, and I go over to the Shade Room, and I'm looking at the Shade Room, and now they're saying a woman, like I'm reading, and it's like a woman was put in the dumpster. And I was like, a woman? I was like, I thought this was a girl. Woman, right? And so then I read even further, and then it's talking about she's a 30-year-old woman, right? And then to make matters worse, you know what they did on the Shade Room? They did the same thing that white supremacy does. All of a sudden, those teenage boys are grown-ass men. All of a sudden, they're grown men. Same thing white supremacy does. Same thing the white media does. Same thing they did to Trayvon Martin. Oh, he a grown-ass man. He a grown-ass man all of a sudden. Because what they did, you don't like. Now, all of a sudden, he's a grown-ass man. And I'm saying you got black women, who want to, pump out the rape and pillage, evil black man narrative. You know what I'm saying? Like, even they're not, the comment sections ain't even doing their research. They in there just, these black men are evil, and we need to stop birthing them, and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is a grown-ass 30-year-old woman trying to flirt among a group of teenagers. Let's just reverse the genders. And let's say that was a 30-year-old man out there putting his hands on a 13-year-old girl.
Kiss him hard, sweetheart. Kiss him. Give him a hug, sweetheart.
He gon' kiss you back. Don't y'all be kissing all the time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Stop bluffing on her, Mel.
With a bunch of, 15, 16, 17-year-old girls around, however the other guys were around. I'm pretty sure that they were slightly older. But still in that middle school, high school realm. And this is a 30-year-old woman. Oh, it would be all type of rape and pillage arguments. It would be all type of sexual assault arguments. And then, to make it even more disgusting, Nikki came over in my comment section, and she left a comment. You can read it for yourself. She left a comment basically saying, black boys been getting ass since they were 10 years old. Oh, really? They've been fucking since they've been 10 years old. Who have they been fucking? Who is a 10-year-old boy fucking? Who's most likely going to introduce a 10-year-old boy to sex? That's right. Older black women. And see, this goes right back to what Dr. T. Hassan said when Dr. T. Hassan Johnson said in his video about who's going to cry for the little boy. So y'all the black community, we love to talk about sexual assault on black girls, underage girls. We love to talk about sexual assault as it pertains to the girls. But we do not like to talk about sexual assault as it pertains to the boys. I remember one woman in particular, when we were having a conversation years ago, about 10 years ago, we were having a conversation about something that happened with some teachers. Y'all remember, like, you know, you had this whole stint of like white teachers having sex with underage girls and everything. And this woman, okay, came out and said that if this happened to her daughters, somebody got to die. But she said if this happened to her son, that little nigga was getting some ass. And black men went the fuck off on her, and righteously so. I mean, you can't have a greater double standard in the black community. And again, it goes to show you how, especially in specific areas, nobody cares about black boys. And then if a black boy does something wrong, bam, he's instantaneously a grown ass man. Instantaneously. I didn't say 10 years old. She said 10 years old. 10 years old. This boy is 13 years old and had a grown ass woman trying to get, I don't know what she was doing. But if you had reversed the roles, if that was a 30-year-old man grabbing the hand of a 13-year-old girl, oh my God! Like the Amber Phillips of the internet would their heads would explode, guts all over the fucking computer screen.
Kiss him hard, sweetheart. Kiss him. Give him a hug, sweetheart. He gonna kiss you back.
Don't y'all be kissing all the time?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Stop bluffing on her, Mel.
We be hearing about it like crazy. They all raping pillage, black men, the swirlers. That's why you need to get with a white man. They be going crazy. And this is Exhibit Z. You know what I'm saying? They be coming through talking all type of shit. But let it be a little black boy, and he got a 30-year-old woman coming at him, and you know, that little nigga, he just wanted some ass. And y'all been doing this. Y'all been doing this type of shit. And I know what people are going to say. They're going to say, oh, well, the same thing was said about, the situation with R. Kelly, right? So now we dive, the little girl that was having sex with R. Kelly, right? If she didn't want to be peed on, why did she move? And that is a problem. This sort of, victim blaming of underage children. But I notice when it comes to black boys, nobody sees it that way. And possibly in part because, let's say a 13-year-old boy has sex with a 30-year-old woman. On some level, even a 13-year-old boy may look at it as a rite of passage. Yeah, man, I smashed out my teacher. Yeah, they'll look at it like it's a rite of passage. Other males may look at it like it's a rite of passage. See, the problem is, it's just like with these young girls. It's not until they get older that they realize that they were used or that they were sexually assaulted. It's not until they get older, and then that shit fucks with them and fucks with their minds. And so you get these women out here who, when they was underage and they were 15, 16, whatever, and they were having sex with a 22, 23-year-old male in the community, then they realize I was sexually assaulted. He sexually abused me or whatever, right? That's what they'll see when they get older, when they hit it right around 30 or something like that. That's when they'll see it. With black boys, again, this is an area of discussion that we don't even talk about. You know, like how they're going to feel when they hit 30 and say to themselves, damn, I was only 13 years old. You know what I mean? And I had sex at 13 years old with an older woman. Maybe they possibly even have a child themselves at that point. Maybe their son, they had a kid at 20. Their son is 10 years old. They're 30 years old. And they're like, damn, it's 3 years. He's 3 years away from when I started having sex. You see, and I'm gonna tell you what makes the situation worse. What makes the situation worse is that, you know, see, people don't examine the shit. You know, when we want to talk about conceptualizing and contextualizing and all that other stuff, what makes this situation worse is that, what do you think happens to some of these boys who've been sexually assaulted when they get older? What do you think happens? They may turn into, going back to hurt people, they may turn into the type of people who go out there and they're 30 years old and trying to have sex with a 13-year-old girl. Why not? It happened to me. Why not? Ain't nobody come to rescue me. Nobody gave a shit, right? That little nigga was just getting some ass, right? So why is he gonna give a fuck about having sex with an underage girl? See, y'all don't think about this. Y'all just roll right into evil black man. Oh, they're just innately evil. But see, this is what I'm talking about the, you know, the shit that women do and the shit that women get away with, because society as a whole just gives women a pass on the shit. I like what somebody wrote in my comment section about "You Heard Me First Time," aka "You Gotta Be Kidding Me," because she said the foul shit that women do, women just don't get arrested for. They don't go to jail for. And I was like, that's a good one. That's a real good one. That's an interesting point. Because in terms of justice, especially when we're talking about sexual shit, you know, there's this when it comes to women, there's this attempt to make women younger than they are, and there's this attempt to make men older than they are, like all the time, like make them older, right? I mean, this is exactly what white supremacy does. You know, same thing with Mike Brown when he got shot. Oh, he's the Incredible Hulk. You know, he's this massive being. You know, and I was so scared. I was in fear for my life. Clutch the pearls. Right? Same thing with Trayvon Martin. And it's sad to see black women do this. Right? It's sad to see it. Because they'll do this. Because this a woman got violated, right? That's how they're interpreted, or a girl, as they were claiming, because they tried to bring her age down in order to act like, you know, these people are among the same peer group, right? But let it be their son. Let their son get accused of some shit and them trying to turn their son into some grown ass man. They're not gonna like that shit. But again, to push the narrative of the evil black man, they're gonna go up there and make these boys, you know, grown ass men. The other thing is, this woman being a crackhead, culturally speaking, people don't have no respect for crackheads or junkies or druggies. And there's a lot of foul shit that people will do to crackheads and junkies because they don't have no respect for them. But based on this woman being 30 years old and being among a group of teenagers, I'm like, looking at it from that perspective, I'm like, nah, the bitch got exactly what the fuck she deserved. I'm like, they didn't kill this woman. They threw her in there. They threw her ass in the dumpster, which, truth be told, is exactly where the fuck she belongs. Because let's face it, y'all will have a whole bunch to say about where a 30-year-old black man who's flirting with some teenagers belongs. And it will be far worse than a fucking dumpster. Let's be real about that. So, again, I'm like, y'all just gonna sit online and just continue to push this narrative? I recognized it last night when, after I had posted my video, the motherfucker said, this woman is 30 years old. I'm like, what? And I'm looking around, and then again, Iami Loho made another post, still running in the same direction of, this woman was victimized and black women are not valued and this, that, and the third. I'm like, are we going to talk about the angle of sexual assault here? I mean, seriously speaking, what does a 30-year-old woman have to have? What business does she have being around a bunch of young teenage boys? And you could tell by the video there was something that there was something going on between, or something that she was trying to make happen between herself and that 13-year-old boy, because she goes right in there. The video starts off with her grabbing his fucking hand.
Kiss him, kiss him. Give him a hug, sweetheart. He gonna kiss you back.
Don't y'all be kissing all the time?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Stop bluffing on her, Mel.
Now, I want you to think about that. If some of you got sons, I want you to think about some 30-year-old woman coming at your 13-year-old son. Then I want you to think about if this was a 30-year-old man coming at your 13-year-old daughter. Does it change that much? Do you look at it that differently? 13-year-old boy, all that nigga just getting some ass, but a 13-year-old girl, she's being sexually assaulted? Because you already know the community will be so much quicker to scream sexual assault on a 13-year-old girl as opposed to a 13-year-old boy. But again, what gets ignored? The psychological damage that gets done to these 13-year-old boys. Then when they go out there and they become toxic black men or DBR black men of the community, then y'all just want to act like, oh, they just innately like that. Oh, he's just a sexual predator in the community and he needs to be put down like a dog. But you don't want to talk about the woman that sexually assaulted him that caused him to be the sexual predator that he is today. Y'all don't want to talk about that. Y'all don't want to talk about y'all dirty laundry and the fucked up shit that y'all do, or the fucked up shit that you get away with underneath the invulnerability shield of being a fucking woman. Y'all keep trying to act like there's no such thing as female privilege. Like I said, Shade Room put out an article. The title labels them a group of men. A group of men. And then you scroll down, you read down in the article, 30-year-old woman. And again, people are going out and, these boys, they got these boys running around apologizing and all this other shit. And people talking about, she doesn't need to accept their apology. No, that bitch should be apologizing to them. Seriously, what business does a 30-year-old woman have trying to talk to a 13-year-old boy or a group of teenagers? However, whatever spread you want to give them, they're not adults. And see, this is a bad look, because people they get petty on this shit. And then the next time some black girl gets sexually assaulted, situations like this will come to mind. Well, fuck it. She wanted it. She just got raped in the butt. She's a little slut, whatever. Because when it comes to the boys and they get sexually assaulted, y'all don't give a fuck. Oh, that little nigga was just getting some ass. Right? That's not sexual assault. Oh, they threw her in the dumpster. Oh, that's terrible. Let's hyper focus on the fact that of the response of her getting thrown in the dumpster. It's like what white people do. White people run around, they do some racist shit. Black people respond, and then they want to scream reverse racism. They want to scream, oh, it's the black people attacked us. Well, what led up to the attack? What led up to that shit? Now, do I think the boys could have handled it a better way? Should they just have walked away from the bitch? Yeah, 100%. 100%. But knowing that she's 30 years old and these boys, are teenagers and she got put in a dumpster, do I feel bad for this bitch? Fuck no. I did initially, again, based on, the rhetoric of what black women were saying. See, this is the problem with all these fucking videos, these no context having ass videos that all people, put out there, on the fucking internet. That's why all of us should be doing our research and homework before we decide to go out there and comment on some shit. Now, what I said in my last video about, the boys being neglected and how they turn into monsters, and then, not only are they the sexiest men alive, but the women jump up and they want to scream rape and pillage, but they want to ignore, the neglect of these boys. And unfortunately, a lot of women don't see the lack of manhood training being instilled in a boy as neglect. They don't see it as neglect. I bathed him, I clothed him, I fed him. That's all I gotta do. They don't see him not being trained and taught and prepared for the world as a form of neglect. They don't see it like that. They don't see his absence of manhood training as a form of neglect. And that is a problem. But I'm just putting this out here to clean this shit up. And I'm like, all these women running around, on the evil black men, fuck them bitches, man. I don't give a fuck what them hoes say. The bottom line is this is a grown ass woman that had no business being around some underage boys, and her getting dumped in the dumpster. You know what I'm saying? Man, please, that's the least of what could have happened or what should have happened. 30-year-old woman's trying to holler at some 13-year-old boy. Like, bitch, ooh. Like I said, I'm glad I don't have any children. I'm real glad I don't have any children. Cause my ass would be in jail. Anyway, that's my video. SWP out.